what we're going to be focusing on today is how do we as PCOs maintain a positive impact on the industry, right? Overall, through the community, through, how we do services and some other things. So we've got a list that we're going to go through. We're going to nail these down, go one by one.
Let's say in a perfect world, in a perfect pest control world, every interaction that every pest control company has with every customer is positive. You put that kind of glow out into the world, and all of a sudden you're elevating the industry.
Yeah.
You're elevating the people's perception of what pest control is. And so when you do that on a consistent basis, you're, in other words, doing your part to build the industry.
Welcome to the Bug Bucks Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I'm your host, Eric Bassett, and of course, right next to me, as always, the one and only Jay Claus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? What's up, my fellow friendly Bug Bucksers?
Dude, I gotta say, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll see that Jake is wearing this awesome hat, which looks like a new hat. Are you breaking in this new one?
I am. I'm breaking in this new one. Yeah.
What's cool about this hat, I don't know if we talked about this before on the podcast, is that the design that we have on the hat, that's our Natura N. We've got this awesome like ant crawling through in between it, right? So
yeah.
Jake actually worked his tail off designing.
Oh, I broke all the rules.
Designing this thing to make this hat.
Can I tell a 30-second story?
Yes, do please tell the story because I think it's awesome.
So this was our 10-year anniversary hat, and I'm a bit of a hat snob. And when I was a kid, it was all about the New Era 5950, right? So if you're a hat snob also, you know that the New Era 5950 is the official on-field ball cap of the MLB. It's like it's the creme de la creme of ball caps, right? And so I love this. I love the hat. I'm a big fan of the 5950, and I've always wanted to make one for Natura. If you go into our office, there is a ring of hats around the office.
All the hats we've ever made.
All the hats we've ever made.
Most of them. Some of them.
There's some missing. Yeah, there's some ghosts there. So I want to make this hat, and so, Jana and I and Eric, we worked real hard to find the design and to make it just right. And my idea was I want it to look like a minor league baseball team hat, right? And so I find the place, I find an online company that does custom 5950 hats. And I email them and I say, hey, I want to design this hat. And she emails back and she says, okay, is this for a sports team or a business? And I'm clueless to this process. So I said, well, it's for my business. She emails back and says, we're sorry. The 5950 is closely guarded by New Era and the MLB, and it's only for sports teams. And I'm like, damn it, I want this hat. So I reach out to another manufacturer, right? And I email and I'm like, hey, I want to make this hat. And she emails back the same question. Is this for a business or for a sports team? And I'm wise now. I say it's for my sports team. And she says, okay, great. Send me a website or a team picture. And I'm like, no. And then I remembered
prove
it, right? And then I remember that the 4th of July parade that year, Jan had designed these like ringer tees, and because we were dancing to like a retro 70s song. It was Skate by Bruno Mars, I think, right?
Yep.
And so she had made these like retro ringer tees, and we were wearing like these goofy
green shorts with the high green socks. And then we took a big company picture before the parade in front of the van, right? And so we looked like the most wonky, goofiest sports team on the planet. But Jana's like, well, hopefully this works. She sends the picture in. And then like a week later, it was like a week-long response. And I'm like, oh no, they're on to us. The jig is up, guys. And anyway, she responds back and says, okay, that looks good. And it was like I had won this huge battle, right? I'd skirted the MLB. And so then, anyway, we made the hats, and I made like 4 extras for myself. And the last one I've worn every single day for a year. Dude, tell the part about the pillbox on the back.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I sent in the design, and I'm like, yeah, this is what it looks like. And several years ago, we had sponsored a local minor league baseball team. And for that, Jana made this T-shirt that looks like the MLB pillbox, which everybody knows that. It's the red, white, and blue, the baseball guy. Mm-hmm. And so she had made this pillbox logo, but instead of the baseball guy, it was our leaf with the ant logo.
Awesome
right?
logo, dude.
And so I send that design in, and the lady responds back and says, "I'm sorry, we can't put the pillbox on the hat." And I said, well, if you look real closely, it's not the MLB pillbox. And she responds back and says, no, it doesn't matter. Any likeness, representation, blah, 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 of the MLB pillbox.
Insert copyright policy
right,
here.
Yeah, is against the MLB agreement. And so I'm like, crap. Well, that's the key part, right? And so, it's this pillbox logo that we'd made. And so... anyway, I reached out.
As you can see, it made it on the hat.
Right? So then I reach out to my local embroidery lady that does our local stuff. And I was like, hey, if I bring in 60 hats, can you put this logo on the back? And she says, well, why won't the other hat place do it? And I said, oh, it's just this internal thing, And she said, okay, well, send it over. So after we received this big box of hats from this company, I had to take that whole box of hats to our local lady, and then she put the pillbox on 60 plus hats. So that's the story. So I'm very, very proud of this hat. It's like it's like my crowning achievement, and this is my daily wear, and the fire department hat. I did the same thing for the fire department 5950.
Oh yeah, dude. Those ones look sick.
Those ones look sick, but I didn't have to jump through any hoops because apparently New Era has loosened the grip on the 5950. They will do them for sports teams or police, fire, EMS.
Oh, that's cool.
That's it.
That's way
So
cool.
I didn't have to jump through the hoops. I just
nice
had to convince Chief to let me make this hat.
See, if we have to take anything away from this, the obstacle is the way.
Right? The obstacle is the way. Yep.
You can count on when Jake has a vision, especially if it's apparel related, he will make it happen.
It will happen. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
dude,
sorry,
awesome.
that was a long opener.
No, that was great. That was good. We got to tell that story.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have an awesome topic we're going to be diving into today, but before we get to that, just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform, like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bugbucks Plus. We've got the owners only group, for owners, obviously. And then we've got our Bugbucks Plus Pest Pros group.
Go join it.
Right.
Tell
for
your
all
people.
the non-owner people, the managers and frontline colleagues, right? Go tell everybody about it. It's awesome. The owners group has over 4,500 people in it.
Dude, I think it's
46.
We haven't checked. It's got to be 46.
Yeah, I haven't looked. It's somewhere in that ballpark. It's awesome. It's a huge, fantastic community.
It's amazing. It grows by like 50 to 100 every week or two.
Yeah.
Like it's booming.
Yeah, it's awesome. And everybody in that group is great. They are waiting for you to connect and share their thoughts. We also have a new Facebook group, which obviously is the Pest Pros. That one has how many do you think in it?
Oh, the Pest Pros?
Like
I haven't looked.
Less than 50-ish. Well, by the time this
right
comes
now
out,
it's 100.
You know
or
what?
more.
Let's do an audit.
Yeah.
Let's see how many
check.
we've got. We'll do how many we have in the actual Bug Bucks owners only. Okay, hang on. Mine says 4,500, but we always know that mine is a little bit behind.
Yes, because you have a Samsung, not an iPhone.
And then let's take a peek at the Pest Pros. So mine says 56, but by the time that this episode drops, I bet it's going to be 100 or more.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and the thing is that obviously a lot of the owners know about the group, but the all the people that we're trying to attract into the group might not know about it yet.
Yeah. So this is a Pest Pros group is for your employees, your office staff, your managers, your frontline people, your mom, I don't know. Do they?
If your mom is,
if your mom works for the business,
yeah, it's for all those people to be able to develop in their roles, right? There's so much good information in the owners group that we've shared. We want to be able to share some of that great information with frontline colleagues too.
Well, and as PCOs, I'm not sure if this is the philosophy for everybody, but the philosophy for us here at Natura is that we want to replace ourselves.
Yes,
we want to train our people to take over our jobs, because that's how you scale your business, right? So in doing so, we want our frontline people, our managers, to grow in their skills, knowledge, and abilities as
as productively, as quickly, and as efficiently as possible. So having a resource for your frontline people to build, grow, improve, to become entrepreneurs, right, in your business. That's what you want, is you want entrepreneurs in your business. People have the entrepreneurial zeal, but they just want to do it inside of your company instead of going to start their own business.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
So find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. Okay. We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. Are you a pest control operator that's paying for inbound leads for services that you don't offer or are outside your service area? How would you like to be able to get paid for referring those leads to other companies, all while getting high-quality referrals in return? If you're getting calls for jobs you can't take on, Baton has you covered. With Baton, you can easily refer those callers to other trusted companies and get paid for it. It's super simple. Just create your profile to show what services you offer and where, then start referring leads to more than 500 of Baton's vetted partners, all while getting exclusive, high-converting leads referred back to you in return. Every referral you submit not only gets you paid, but also increases your chances of getting referrals from other companies. And don't worry, every Baton partner pledges not to steal or poach your existing customers in need of other services that you don't provide. With Baton handling the transaction, you can know that customers you refer are in good hands. For BugBucks Plus subscribers, there are no onboarding or membership fees. Plus, you can get up to $400 in free referral credits just for being a subscriber to the BugBucks Plus platform. Give referrals, and get paid. Join Baton today. Go to bugbucksplus.com/Baton to get started. Now back to the BugBucks podcast. Let's dive into today's topic.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what we're going to be focusing on today is how do we as PCOs maintain a positive impact on the industry, right? Overall, through the community, through, how we do services and some other things. So we've got a list that we're going to go through. We're going to nail these down, go one by one. How about you start and I'll follow?
Yeah. You know what? So we've just got some bullet points here. And the first one that we have on there is sales. Because this is really where the consumer has your very first interaction with the industry, right? So when in your sales process, the whole thrust, the whole idea in the sales process is to make a very positive impact. And if you love the industry, you'll want to make a positive impact on your first impression. And this is something that Natura Pest Control has always taken very seriously. In all the years where we had door-to-door sales reps, that was hammered into them incessantly. And you know what the great thing is that we attracted those personality types.
Yep.
There were other companies that did door-to-door sales that attracted maybe we'll say the opposite personality type.
Sure.
The guys that blast through area, that we call it burn area, where they just go in and they just hit every door and they don't care if they piss people off, and so on and so forth. So we just seemed to attract the type of personality that we wanted, and that really helped us build and grow our reputation not only in our community, but in the pest control industry.
Yeah.
We would go on recruiting trips, and we would sit down with reps, and one of the things that the reps would say is, I've heard that you guys have a really, really good reputation in your community. And if that's something that the sales rep cares about, then they're attracted to that.
Yes.
If they're not, they're not. Yeah.
Well, and you get these door-to-door sales reps, right? Like when you're thinking about the little ingredients that create a door-to-door sales guy. Obviously, they have to have a high drive for performance. They have to be motivated by that.
Yep.
And sometimes you kind of end up feeling like you have to sacrifice that, like sacrifice the community and the responsibility part for the high performance. So you get these guys that go out and knock on doors, and it's, hey, I'm so-and-so with whatever pest control company. Like, hey, I've got a truck in the area. What works best for you between, morning or afternoon?
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, guy. Yeah, I don't really want any pest control service, thanks, but no thanks. And the guy just keeps drilling, keeps going, right? Pretty soon, this person's like, dude, I'm going to call the freaking cops if you don't get off my porch, right? And he's like, okay, I guess it's not a customer, bye, and goes to the next house, right? And
peace out, and gives him the finger.
Yeah, like, like, and he just keeps going door to door doing that because the only thing he cares about is getting sales, getting paid his back end, and going back to wherever the heck he came from, right? He doesn't have to live here. He doesn't have to care about what those customers think about him long term, or the company,
right,
or the community that he works in.
Yeah,
right?
It's not his community.
No.
Yeah, so he's got no skin in the game.
Yeah, so from a sales standpoint, especially a door-to-door sales standpoint, we'll point that out. Having people that care about your community and care about your company and care about the positive impact, or I should say cares about the impact period that they have, that's really important.
Yep.
And from an inside sales perspective, the best inside salespeople know that there's the right amount of pressure, right, to to kind of put on somebody to kind of help them get them to the decision, right?
It's a discussion.
Yep. But even then, they know that even when you hang up the phone and it's not a sale, it's not a sale yet.
Correct.
Right? There's follow-up process that happens, and that can be multiple phone calls over multiple weeks or even months, right? Yeah. And even if you don't close that customer right then, you want them thinking, you know what, that company seems like a very legitimate, well-educated company.
Yep.
And when I'm ready to buy, I'm going to buy from them.
Buy from them.
Yes.
Yep.
And we have a lot of return business from one-time customers or other places or whatever the situation is, where people like our business, they like our company, and they appreciate the fact that during the sales process, we didn't try to ram it down their throat.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So,
well, also those customers, they're more forgiving too, because if you have a good relationship with them, you can screw up. Yes. And they won't cancel, right?
Yes,
I mean, that's the amazing thing. And you know what? I had this epiphany a lot of years ago when I was selling door to door. Maybe it's just me. I'm a nice guy, and I remember I was knocking doors, and I just had this thought: even if I don't make the sale, I want to leave this person with a good impression of me and the company that I'm representing. And so this one year I was selling in southern Idaho, and I went to this little community, and it's a small community. In fact, there's two communities like 10 minutes apart from each other. And they're right off I-84, just boom, stacked up north to south or south to north from each other. And I spent 2 months in these tiny little communities. And I just worked my way around the neighborhood again and again and again. And I'd make 5, 6, 7 sales a day. And these were people I would go back over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And by the time I left those communities, every freaking person in those communities was my friend.
Yeah.
And they knew the company, and they knew me, and if they didn't buy from me, at least they had a positive interaction with me. And then this snowball started rolling down the hill, right? Where I'm getting phone calls every day. Hey, you stopped at my house a couple weeks ago. Do you remember me? And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I remember you. Yes. I remember everybody, right? And then the reputation preceded me, and it led to a greater success than if I had just atomic bomb blasted the towns and then moved on, right?
Yes.
I mean, there is you call it karma, you call it whatever. There is positivity that comes back to you when you put positivity out there.
Yeah. Well, and you think about, from a marketing and branding perspective, right? If I'm doing digital marketing, I'm thinking, okay, I want my brand to be out there, brand awareness. I want people to see what I'm doing, who I am. I want them to connect with my company.
Yep.
And not everybody has a pest resolution need right now, right? But when they do have that need, I want them thinking, what was that really cool company that I saw on Facebook or Instagram? Or what was a really cool truck that drove by? Who was that guy that let me into traffic and waved at me that other day? That's the kind of stuff I want people to think about.
Exactly.
Right? And in door-to-door is a very proactive marketing campaign, right? People don't think about it like that. But, every door that you knock on, you're saying, hey, I'm Eric with Natura Pest Control, right? They see the brand, they see the shirt, they make the connection.
Yeah.
Well, if I am not being proactive about that being a good experience, then the only thing I'm doing is marketing my brand in a bad way.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And I feel like obviously we could dive into this door-to-door.
Well, we want to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's what we want, right?
Yeah. Yes, we do. Okay, let's move on. We'll jump into our next bullet list. Otherwise, we're going to stick on door-to-door forever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the next thing here is service, right? And I will say that this isn't just the customers that you serve, right? So, for example, like for everyone, like when you are at a house and you're doing the treatment, okay? Those customers at that house are keeping an eye on what you're doing, right? How much time are you taking? How thorough are you going to be? You know, are you paying attention to their flowers and things that you shouldn't be treating? And, you know, like...
Are you walking through their flower beds?
Yeah. And we don't have this problem, but are you dragging the hose across the hood of their car?
Right.
You know, little things like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's all the other people in the community that also see you servicing that house.
Yep.
Right? All the people who drive by, the people who walk by.
Everybody's got a nosy neighbor that's peeking through the blinds.
Yeah, right? Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, Natura Pest Control. I wonder if that guy does a good job.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's this this idea that people are going to start building in their minds about your company before they are ever your customers.
Yep.
Right? It's wild to think about that.
Yeah.
But obviously, the way that we provide our service is going to either raise up the idea of pest control in people's minds, or it's going to bring it down.
Right.
Right? And we've talked about this before, and we've talked about it in some of the Bug Bucks Plus courses. They're all over there. But to serve people the best, you have to focus on what they find value in. Right? It's those customer wins, right? The wants, interests, and needs. Because sometimes what a customer wants is the most thorough job that you can imagine, right? Like they're very OCD. They want a very specific type of treatment, very specific place at a specific time of the day or whatever. You know, like their one main thing is I need you here by 8, need you out by 8:45, right?
Right.
Okay, guys, sure.
Yeah.
Other people, they just want to talk your ear off, man. They just want you to knock on the door, talk to them, and ask them about their day and have a personal conversation. They couldn't care less, well, a little bit, how thorough you are as long as the bugs are gone.
Right.
Right? But people have different wants and different needs. And if you want to make sure that people have a good idea of what we provide the community from your customer standpoint, you have to make sure that you're hitting on those value points, which is going to help you keep more customers anyway. But it allows the idea of what we do as a pest control industry to stay high up on the level.
Yeah, well, you know, the other thing is, too, is that industries have reputations.
Yes.
You know, it's not just companies in specific industries, but industries have reputations. You know, what's the reputation? Let's say, you know, sometimes you hear the reputation for the electricians. Oh, man, electricians, dude, they bill... you know,
electricians.
Oh my gosh,
or plumbers.
Or plumbers. You know, a lot of the trades.
Yep.
And not that that's a bad thing. I mean, we should be charging commensurate with our skill level and the job that we do, right? But if, let's say, in a perfect world, in a perfect pest control world, every interaction that every pest control company has with every customer is positive. You put that kind of glow out into the world, and all of a sudden you're elevating the industry.
Yeah.
You're elevating the people's perception of what pest control is. And so when you do that on a consistent basis, you're, in other words, doing your part to build the industry, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a hard time imagining there's anybody listening in on this podcast that's saying, well, screw the industry, screw the customer. Like, that's not how it works,
No.
right? But on a micro level, how often do we talk about our customers like they're the enemy?
Oh, yeah.
You know? How often do you do that? Oh, freaking Mrs. Johnson. Gosh, dang it, man. I got to go back out to her house again. Jeez. And then your office staff's taking calls. Oh, my gosh, you wouldn't believe this customer. What a dick. Or whatever, you know. Oh, I can't say it. Maybe.
Oh, say what, Dick?
Yeah.
Dick's a name. You can say that.
It is. Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll have Becky bleep those so people don't know what we said. But I mean, just think about it. There's micro ways that your interactions can damage not just your reputation, but the industry as a whole. If somebody has a bad, you know, how many times have we approached a customer and they say, "Oh, I'm not doing pest control ever again." Well, why? Yeah. Well, I had this company. Well, you realize that
having a bad hamburger at McDonald's doesn't mean you're going to have a bad hamburger at Wendy's.
Yeah, dude, they got burned.
Yep.
You know, whoever did that last service, whoever had that last communication or the interaction, just burned their whole idea on pest control.
Yep.
Which sucks because, as we all know, good experiences tend to have limited ripples in communities compared to bad experiences. Right. Bad experiences people talk about all the time.
It's like
they don't
throwing
talk
a
about the good
boulder into the
experiences.
pond.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Community involvement. Which, I mean, we have a lot of that. We've done parades. We've sponsored local sports teams.
Yep.
You know, I feel like this is it's such a good way to show your community, because they know that it's kind of a marketing thing. They get it, right?
Yep.
But at least they know, hey, these guys are willing to play ball at our level.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they want to support us. They want us to know that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is when they say that, hey, we're a community company.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. We're pest control is a blue collar parentheses red collar industry, right? So putting yourself out in the community like that is huge. And you know, the pest control industry, we do have a bit of a negative, I feel like a negative historical reputation to overcome, right?
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of people that still have this concept that pest control is, you know, spraying pesticide, and pesticides are bad, and, you know, we're bad for the environment.
Skull and crossbones, sticker poisons. And
Delbert McClintock, you know, arachnophobia image in their mind of a quote unquote exterminator, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all these things we know that's like, come on, that's not true. That's not real. But the community perception or public perception, I think, still holds that a little bit. And so promoting positive community involvement, the more positive interactions you have with the community, showing the community, you know, the good side of the pest control industry, helps to overcome that stigma that's been there for so long. And I really do actually feel like that stigma is becoming a thing of the past, especially as you have like millennials that are coming up. And I think it was probably more the older generation that had this idea. But, you know, we're like, companies are refreshing the perception of pest control.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously I think it also gives your customers a chance to connect with you on a different level than just, hey, I'm here to do your pest control service.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm here to solve your ant issue or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if you're out in the community talking with people, you have an opportunity to meet somebody where it's before they're ever your customer, right? But again, later on in the future, they're thinking, okay, if I ever have a pest problem, I'm going to call Jake, right? Yeah. He was a super cool dude, shook his hand, talked to the guy. He's just another, you know, blue collar dude like me, red collar, parentheses, right? Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Wait. Can I say one more thing about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the other thing. The more recognizable you are in your community, the more people think about you.
Yes.
When they need pest control or when they think pest control.
Yeah.
And let me give you an example of this that just happened today that is actually on the outset, it's super negative. But the more you think about it, you're like, wait a minute, that's actually a good thing. So I walk into the office this morning, and as I walk in, we've got only half of our office is in at that early in the morning, right?
Yep.
And I walk in, and all three of them turn around and they look at me with like eyes wide, you know? And I was like, uh-oh, like what's going on? And they say, there's this marketing company that is so awful, and they're pissing everybody off. I'm not going to say the name of the marketing company, but they're pissing everybody off, and this freaking cooks my grits, right? So they say that this company is pissing everybody off, and all of these people are calling us to complain.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Why are they calling us to complain about this company that has nothing to do with us?
Hey.
Because when they think pest control,
they think Natura, baby.
Natura, right? And so on the outset, I'm like, those fetchers, dude. What a bunch of freaking... What's up, my fellow Bug Bucksers? I'm going to take a moment to highlight one of our premier sponsors of the Bug Bucks podcast. Cockroaches have nowhere to hide from Advion Trio Cockroach Gel Bait. This Syngenta solution is formulated to control cockroaches at every stage of the life cycle. With 3 active ingredients,
including an insect growth regulator and a chitin synthesis inhibitor. It offers complete cockroach control with built-in resistance management. PMPs can complement their Advion Trio applications with Advion Microflow insect bait, which can reach small voids on cleanout and maintenance accounts as a dry flowable bait. Both products can also be used as part of the Secure Choice Cockroach Assurance Program for proven results. The word that I said earlier, right?
Yep.
But then as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute.
You know what?
That means that when people think about pest control, they think it's us. Mm-hmm. And then it's a great opportunity because then they call in and say, your guy was blah, blah, blah. And then the office staff has this little script that they say, and, you know, did they say that they're representing us? No. Well, are you sure it was us? Well, no. Okay, well, I can guarantee you that's not us. And then it gives us a chance to, you know, reshape that perception. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's like, hey, we understand that these guys are really frustrating, very annoying. We're absolutely annoyed by them.
Yeah. So that's affecting us also.
Yeah. Super sorry about the inconvenience. Is there anything else I can help you with today? You know?
Right. Yeah. And but it just kind of like tickles me and makes me feel good, warm and fuzzy that when people see pest control, they think it's Natura because gosh, there's only one pest control company in town.
Some of my favorite leads that we get are when another company knocks on someone's door and then they say no. And then they call us and they're like, yeah, I had some guy knock on my door. And I'm like, oh, like a Natura guy? And they're like, no. A guy from X company. So I figured I'd call around and talk to you guys.
I asked 4 of my neighbors and they all use you guys. So perfect. I'm calling you. Like,
thanks for the lead, door-to-door guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we pay that guy commission?
We shouldn't.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, we'll pay him half of a percent.
Yeah.
And we'll do proactive chargebacks, which means no, he's not getting any commission.
Right.
Okay, so we'll hit on these last 3 and then we'll zip out of here. This one's very, very important. Mm-hmm. Product responsibility / usage. I mean, think about all of the stuff in the news, right? Yeah. The big stories about problems with pest control companies. The perspective of these other, like just some locales, right? So like you think about, our service area is Washington, Oregon. And in Washington, Washington is a lot more blue collar. It's red a lot collar. More red collar. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more agricultural, right? People in Washington are used to farmland. They're used to having products like this. They kind of get it. Across the river, you jump into Portland.
Oof, the granola is especially crunchy over there.
Yes, it is, right? And then like every single thing that you can pull out of your truck, is that organic? Is that naturally based?
Yeah,
I'm really hoping for something that has essential oils in it, or whatever. And there's just so much more sensitivity to products, right? And so the responsibility that we have is that, man, do we have some amazing, amazing cutting edge products, that took decades of development just so that they could get into the hands of PCOs, right? That are just backed by millions of dollars of research, so that we could actually provide a service that lasts about 3 months, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it naturally breaks down in the environment and it's safe for kids and pets and all these other things. Yeah. When you misapply those products, when you misrepresent those products, when you do something with those products that is unintended and you have unintended effects, that shines a bad light on the industry.
Totally.
And we've talked about this before. More is not better.
Right.
Okay.
More spray does not make the bugs more dead.
Yes. Yeah. Right. There is an effective range, that mix rate, right, that is designed by the manufacturer. Like, hey, this is the best way for you to do this, right? We're short on time, so we got to zip through some of these.
Okay.
I'm going to let you hit this next one, right? Because it kind of goes along the same lines.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we've got education / licensing. Whew. So obviously the more that you're licensed. I mean, if you're licensed to the hilt, first of all, there's nothing that your service can't do. Well, there's very few things that your service can't do.
Based on what you should be doing.
Based on what you should be doing, right? So I mean, like here in Washington State, you have to have all these licenses, right? You have to have a license for ornamental and turf, to apply products to lawns and bushes and stuff like that. You have to have a vertebrate pest license to do vertebrate pests. You have to have a WD or a structural license to do WDOs. You have to have an SPI or structural pest inspector license in order to perform WDO inspections. I mean, you have to have all these licenses, right?
Yep.
And so one thing that was really important to us right off the bat was, well, we want to be able to do everything for our customers that we can possibly do, but also the public perception that, hey, if I've got a problem, I can call my pest control company. It kind of puts you as the hero, right? And so that's really important. And then, education. We've got 2 conferences that we go to every year. We're going to Pest World. We're taking our service manager with us to Pest World, and Aaron's a freaking genius when it comes to pest control stuff. So he's going to glean a bunch of things, bring it back to our company, and it's going to help us improve. And education is huge. There is a situation here that kind of crosses the previous topic and this topic. Happened, oh my gosh, maybe it was it's been a decade and a half or 2 decades now, where there was a Target or a Kmart or something like that in the Portland area, and the store manager comes out and there's bees all over a tree, like a Japanese cherry blossom tree or something like that, in the parking lot, Sure. They got little islands there. And so they call a company. The company says, no way, we're not spraying for bees in your tree. That's not how this works. The store manager wasn't satisfied with that, so he calls another company. I think it was actually a landscaping company. Then, anyway, they made, for some reason, they had an imidacloprid-based product on their truck. Cool. So the landscape company comes, they spray all the blossoming trees, and it killed, I think, it spread to 10 colonies. Oh. It killed 10 colonies. And guess what? The news picked it up, and it spread like wildfire. And guess what people are still talking about in Portland? Your stuff's not going to kill the bees in the trees like it did.
It's like that one time,
right?
Like
that one time, right? And so that one thing has cast a shadow over the pest control industry in our market for almost 2 decades.
Dude, and the sad part about that is that, the driving force there might have been that store manager, but the person that's going to get the slap on more than the slap on the wrist, but the person who's really taking the responsibility here,
the kick in the
is
nuts.
the person who does the application.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the pesticides that killed the bees, not the mismanagement of how to apply the pesticides that was the problem.
Yeah.
So
pesticides kill guns, not people.
Yeah, there you go, dude.
Wait, did I say guns?
Sure.
Oh, shoot. That's what I meant to say. Freudian flip.
You flipped around.
Oh, no. That was a mixed metaphor. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, you get it. Okay, let's move on to this last one.
Yeah, let's move on.
So, this is a huge one for me because we've gotten lots of calls about this. People are sensitive, okay? Let's talk traffic safety for just a minute. You spend so much time and effort and money designing and wrapping service vehicles, right? And even if you don't spend a whole ton of time on it,
you have to see in the blink of an eye, in the flash of the vehicle going through the intersection, you have to know who it is and what they do.
Yep. Yeah. And for us, we've got these bright, vibrant, Kelly green, fully wrapped and decked out vehicles, right? You can't miss it.
They say Natura Pest Control in giant letters on the side of the rig.
On the sides, the front, the back, everywhere, right? They have the ACE logo. They've got all this cool stuff on it, right? Neon. Yeah. So if one of my guys is speeding and he speeds above the threshold where somebody goes, oh my goodness, that pest control guy is so irresponsible. I'm going to call the office right now. Boop, 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 right?
And I'm going to tell all my neighbors.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, my guy, please, I know you have stops to do, but don't do that, right? You cut someone off in traffic, you run a red light, you don't let someone in when you merge. The list goes on, right? Yep. Not even mentioning if you were to get into an accident and it was your fault, right? You get into this accident in this intersection, everybody's continuing to drive by and they're doing the whole gooseneck thing, right?
Yep.
And they're like, oh my gosh, like what an idiot.
There's bad optics.
Yeah, just bad scope, right?
Yep.
And go all the way to the very, very extreme version of this. The whole point of traffic safety is to save lives, right? So the worst case scenario is that there's some kind of fatality, right? Whether it's 2 MVAs or you have something like a pedestrian in a crosswalk or whatever. That is the kind of news coverage I guarantee you do not want.
Oh, that tarnishes the entire industry.
Yeah. Well, because it speaks to, are the people behind the wheels of these pest control rigs, the people that we trust in our houses, the people that we trust around our kids, are these responsible people or not?
Right.
Right? If they can't obey the laws of the road, how do we expect them to obey the laws of the Department of Agriculture,
right,
or the laws of safety, or rules and regulations about how to apply
Are they
products?
a trustworthy industry, period?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And you know what? I know that we share a lot of stories, and I love stories. I love telling stories. And even if it puts us in a little bit of a vulnerable, I wish it was all venerable. If all of the stories put us in a venerable position, that'd be great. But no, it puts us in a bit of a vulnerable position. But we had a technician one time. We're kind of having some struggles with him, some attitude things, and we're working with him. But he was kind of on the cusp of being fired. And anyway, somehow he got in this road rage situation with this lady.
That was wild.
And he was going 90 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour zone. Slamming on his brakes in front of the person, tailgating her, brake checking her, and just driving like a word that I said earlier that's also
like a madman,
person's first name, right?
Yep.
So, and she just happened to be a customer. And so she calls the office and says, "You won't believe what just happened." She actually had a dash cam too. And so we confront the guy. He's like, "No, she was lying." And we saw the dash cam. We were like, "Dude, you are so fired."
Yeah, and we had his GPS tracker. So he had a brand new rig. This was really annoying to me.
Yeah,
he had a brand new rig, freshly wrapped. Just barely didn't get a chance to buy a new dash cam for this guy, right?
Yeah.
And so we didn't have his dash cam, but we had all of his GPS data.
Oh, that's right.
From our tracker that went in there.
Yeah.
And it was just, it showed the story, and there was no denying it, right?
Yeah.
And he, like that lady, I remember I talked to her for like 45 minutes, and she was like shaken.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like she
for
was,
sure.
Like she thought that something
She's
really bad was going
traumatized
to
by
happen.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I talked to her for a while, and fortunately, I think she stayed on service, and I think later on that season she bought a mosquito package from us, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
But like, dude, that guy, and I remember we talked about it. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. How long has this guy been doing this?
How long? Right?
Yeah, dude. Like, oh my gosh, like this is the peak, the pinnacle of what happened, right? This is the point of the issue.
Yep.
But dude, this guy, and we looked at the data, he had been driving around like a madman for weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
Oh.
Well, and the worst part about that is that yes, that sucks for Natura Pest Control. But everybody else that sees that, we're not the only company with green in our logo.
No.
And so the public perception that puts off tarnishes everybody, right?
Yep.
So, pest control. Oh, that's what pest control is like. That's what pest control does.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you've got a really logical, reasonable brain inside your head, you can kind of see through that and say, well, it's not all pest control. It's just that one company. And then if you're just one shade more reasonable than that, you say, well, it's not that company. It's just that one guy that's driving like that.
Yep.
But still, that tarnishes the industry.
Yeah.
If you see an electrician vehicle cut someone off and do some wonky move, the first thought is, oh, dude, electrician?
Yeah.
Right? It's not electrician company or electrician driver. It's, oh, dude, electrician.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and most people end up eventually having thoughts that come from their feelings.
Yes.
Right? It's not that people have feelings that come from their thoughts.
Yeah.
So people are going to have these original feelings about all these issues you have. And then maybe if you're lucky, they think through it and that. But in most consumers' minds, dude, they just have a gut feeling, that gut feeling from an experience they had, which sucks. So,
in a nutshell, be good, do good, build the industry, right?
Yeah, and
boil
just,
it down.
Write a sticky note, put it on your dash, put it somewhere that you can see it that says, pay attention to the impact you have on the industry. Right?
Yes, that's definitely that's a very Eric sticky note right there.
You make a difference, right? Anyways, we got to zip out of here. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have a coworker, manager, and owner who could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. If you haven't joined the Facebook groups yet, go find the groups and join. It's Bug Bucks Plus. Lots of information and great connections there. If you have a topic you want discussed on the show, drop it in the group. As always, this episode is brought to you by BugBucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Visit bugbucksplus.com to sign up and start building today.
Hit subscribe right now.
Thanks again for listening in, and until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bucks Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Claus.